we had number 20, the sheet number 20 last time. This is the chapter, the last chapter in QM2, and we began last time. I told you something about certification and audits. And what I would like to show you here is what are the questions or typical questions of the auditor, which the auditor is asking the general management in a company during an audit, or the department managers or the normal employees, operators, designers, engineers, all the questions he is asking. And you see, these questions have a lot to do with management, with management methods. And here are a lot of things, a lot of methods which has to be implemented, integrated in the company. Also a lot of documentation, of course, which has to be integrated in the company. Okay, let's continue here with the sheet number 21. And here the question is, what are the results of the planning and design phase? So what can the project manager or the general manager answer to this question? The results of the planning process or design process at first are drawings of products, of parts, but also FMEAs, DOE analysis, prototypes, simulations, test runs, measurement reports, customer release reports, all the things, all the documents which are before series production, which are done before series production. This is planning phase, and these are results of the planning phase. The next question is there a complete documentation of all processes regarding planning and design? This has to be documented in the quality management handbook. And also the auditor wants to see flow charts, project plans, control plans. And all these things must be documented in the quality management handbook or in the process instructions or in the workflow instructions. So all these things must, and the company must show the auditor, and the auditor is asking about all these documents, all this documentation. Next question is for the purchasing department, especially for the manager of the purchasing department, regarding purchased components. Every company has some suppliers, and from these suppliers they buy purchased parts. This can be screws or material or sheets or whatever. These parts they do not produce themselves, but they buy it from other suppliers. And for these purchased parts or purchased products or components, the auditor wants to know if the requirements related to these purchased components are defined. Are the processes of purchasing and supplier management defined? So this must be also integrated in the quality management handbook. And what some things the auditor wants to see is how does the incoming inspection work? So if a shipment comes from a supplier, how does the company make sure that the quality is okay, the quality of the purchased components. And then does the company has a supplier evaluation system? Do they have audits? Do they perform audits at the supplier companies? All these things the auditor wants to know. And these things are some of the questions for the certification, of course. And yeah, every company in the audit must show the auditor here all these documents, because otherwise they don't get a certificate. And without a certificate, there is no order and they don't get business. So it is necessary to show the auditor all these things he wants to know and wants to see. And especially in the purchasing departments, he wants to know how is the incoming inspection performed, and what kind of supplier evaluation system does the company has for the purchased parts. And especially in this context, he asks many times also the question, are the suppliers certified? And do the purchased components meet the requirements? So every supplier, or many suppliers, are certified also according to ISO 9001 or other quality standards. And they have to put these certificates on the homepage, on their internet page. So they need to to release this on their pages, on their websites. And if not, the company must go to the supplier company and make and perform an audit. What can be the answer to this question? Periodically check of the supplier certification, incoming inspections, supplier evaluation system. This is what the company must show the auditor. Then the question also related to the planning process is the basis given to produce the process and the product. This has to be checked in every department during the audit by the auditor. So the auditor walks through the company and takes a look in every department if the basis is given to produce the product. So maybe only an example, if the company is producing parts for pharmaceutical industry or for medical industry, it can be necessary that they have a production in clean room. And if they don't have a clean room, or if the clean room is not controlled every day, then this can be a problem. So you must need a basis to produce a product, and of course it depends on the product, which basis the company needs. But this would be a question the auditor asks. Next question is the question in the production. You can ask this also in the planning process, because the project manager must know that. What is the quality status of the produced parts or components or devices in all phases of the production chain? What the company needs is a traffic light system. Many companies have this. In every transport box, parts are put after production, the parts are put in a transport box. And in this box, there must be a color card, red for defective products, yellow to be tested by the quality department, and green if the parts in the box are okay and ready to ship to the customer. This is called a traffic light system, like the traffic light, red, yellow, and green. And in every box in the production, must be a card of this color code that the auditor can see, and everybody can see what is the parts inside the box. Are they okay? Are they to test, or are they defective? Next question is, how is the traceability performed of material, purchased components in production, assembly, packaging, stock, shipment? So in the boxes, they need product cards in every transport box. And in the production, they need a system with product files. In many cases, this is done computer aided with a production planning system, a PPS system. It is production planning system, and every order and every action in the production is written down in this PPS system. So the office employees can throw these things in the PPS system to the auditor, and the auditor can see the product cards in the transport boxes if he is walking through the production. If there are parts where it is not sure if they are good or if they are defective, this must be clarified by the quality assurance department and by the customer. And for these parts, then every company has a quarantine stock. A quarantine stock is for parts, and they must be signed, these parts. The quarantine stock is for parts where it is not clear at the moment if the parts are okay, if they can ship them to the customer, or if they are not okay, or if they have to be tested again. So this has to be checked by the auditor during the audit. Also, the stock conditions are important for materials, products, and tooling. And the auditor proves the stock conditions, that there is a stock room, not open area, the parking place or whatever, but a special room. And this must also be documented in the management handbook. Maybe the room is fire safe. Many of the companies have a fire safe stock. And what the auditor also wants to see is there a FIFO system. FIFO means first in, first out. This means the parts who are put into the stock at first, they must be taken out at first to avoid that very old parts are in the stock. First in, first out means the parts at first put in the stock must be taken out of the stock and shipped to the customer at first. FIFO, first in, first out system. And he wants to see this. In many cases, the stock system is also computer aided. They have, many of the companies have a computer aided stock management system. For every product, the company needs a packaging and a shipment conditions definition. So there must be in the shipment department, the packaging department, they must have some files, and for every product they need the definition how to do the packaging and how to do the shipment. So the packaging and the shipment conditions, this has to be checked by the auditor during the audit. Has the test equipment the capability, the measurement capability to meet the product requirements? In many cases, in the companies, they have a climate control test room, and they have to make sure that the measurement equipment has the measurement capability. So they need a capability system. And this depends, of course, on the customer and on the product. They need a calibration system for the equipment and a periodically check of the test equipment. Many equipment, yeah, a lot of equipment they can test and they can check on their own, but especially 3D coordinate machines or more complicated machines, they must be checked by the producer of the equipment. Maybe one time a year, the producer is coming and does a periodically, annually check. So one time a year, he comes and does a check of the precision of the measurement equipment. This has to be documented, and this is one of the things that the auditor wants to see. Chapter 7 in the ISO 9001 standard is about support processes, resources, competence, communication, and documented information. So he's asking the managers if every department manager has an invest plan. Mostly one time a year, they have to make an invest plan and give the invest plan to the general management. The general management must decide which invests are performed, are okay, are released, and which invests are maybe not performed, or they say, okay, this is an invest, we will do this next year or in 5 years or whatever. And this must be documented. So you must have an invest plan. And are the invests controlled and released by the general management? And this has to be checked by the auditor during the audit. In this context, also a typical question is, how is the need for resources and invest estimated? At first, he wants to see, the auditor wants to see project plans, and from the project plans, maybe they need new equipment or additional workers or additional operators, whatever, additional engineers. And so they must transfer these informations from the project plans to the invest plans. Also important, a monthly analysis of machine hours, employee working hours, and all these things. This has to do with resources. So this is also a thing. Every department manager must have these values every month. And this is what the auditor wants to know and to see. Is there a documented procedure to estimate the need for training and check of training efficiency? At first, every department manager needs a training plan for his employees in his department. So this must be a plan, mostly over 1 year, which employees need training, maybe training in machine operating, maybe training in CAD systems, maybe training in test equipment, maybe training in quality methods, whatever. All these things must be documented in a training plan. And every department manager must show this training plan. Efficiency is not so easy. If an employee was in a training seminar or in a training course, the department manager must have a look at it after the training course if the efficiency of the operator has become better, maybe more designs, more constructions in the design department, or whatever, more efficiency of the work. This is what every department manager has to control, and he must document. He must do a documentation about this. The training course is customer orientated. If the company is shipping parts to bigger companies like Siemens, Bosch, VW, or Mercedes, or big medical companies, these companies offer special customer training courses, and it's not bad if it's in many cases it's necessary that some people of the company are going to these training courses. Maybe these are training courses about quality methods or about special test these test methods or whatever. So the bigger customer companies, they offer a lot of training courses to their suppliers. So the training courses include quality methods. Answers can be TQM workshops, special clean room training if clean room production is required, special customer quality training, Six Sigma courses, so all these things. They have to be documented, and this has to be shown to the auditor. Is there a documented procedure to increase employees' motivation and improve and support innovations and improvement proposals? Well, in every company, they must have teams for continuous improvement process, and they need these teams in every department. Also, a lot of companies have a quality bonus system, so this means the general management gives some bonus, extra payment, or a weekend with a wife or with a family or whatever, an extra bonus to these employees who are making good proposals for for improving the quality or reduction of cost. Also, quality-orientated salaries are important. So if you think of an assembly team, only the salary they become, the money they get, depends not on the number of parts they assemble, but it depends on the number of good parts. And if there are a lot of parts with defects and which are wrong, have poor quality, for these parts, they don't get any money. They don't get salary. They get their salary, monthly salary, only for the good parts. And this is for a whole assembly team or a whole production team, for example. Many companies have this. So these things the auditor also wants to check in the audit. Is there a documented planning of workflow, work processes, logistics, and is there a controlling system and an evaluation? What can be the answers? The answers here. At first, most of the companies have a PPS system for production planning. Then a monthly evaluation of all the departments by the management. This means every department manager must be an evaluation with his team leaders and shift leaders in his department, and the general management must perform an evaluation of every department with the managers of the department. Also every month or every 2 months, some do it 3 times a year, whatever. Depends on the company. In many cases, it is done one time a month. Has the company a documented emergency plan? Yeah, this has to be checked by the auditor. This must be described also, documented in the quality management handbook. An emergency plan. What does this mean? Emergency plan means if it is not possible to produce parts or products because the production is on fire, the machine is burning or whatever, you don't have voltage or the motors are defective and or the hydraulic system, and it's not possible to produce parts, then you need an emergency plan. You need replacement equipment to make sure that they can produce further parts to their customers. Maybe if a production or a part of the production is on fire, maybe then the company has partner companies or other facilities of the same company where they can transfer some production equipment to these partner companies or other locations of the same company and produce further on and make sure that the customer get the parts he had ordered. And these emergency plans, these must be checked by the auditor during the audit. How does the management make sure that the working conditions are safe? Well, every company needs a special engineer for safety, for work safety. And this, and also they need a list of hazardous materials, which are dangerous materials to the health of the people. Also, every department manager needs to have an injury statistic of his company, and in most of the departments there must be some medical tests from time to time. This may be a listening test. This may be a seeing test for testing the eyes. So sometimes a year, a medical doctor is coming in the company and is doing the tests with the employees. And this must be also documented, and these documents must be shown to the auditor. Also, in Chapter 7, there are the documentation requirements. This means, first, the quality strategy. This is a strategy performed and written down by the general management. So the head of the company or the head of the management, they have to define a quality strategy, quality goals, standard documents for planning, performing, and control of the processes. All these things, these documents, will be checked by the auditor during the audit. Is the documentation, the quality documentation, enough related to the complexity and the size of the company? This is also a question. Only the auditor can check this during his audit, and he has to have a look, especially at the management handbook, and to answer this question. Are there any chapters or issues in the standard to be excluded, in the ISO 9001 standard, for example, to be excluded in the quality management handbook? Are the reasons explained in the handbook? Well, it can be that some chapters of the ISO 9001 standard can be excluded. And this is possible if the functional design of the product, of the end products, cannot be tested by the supplier company. The supplier company only can test the products they produce, but maybe the customer company or another customer company is producing the final products to the end market, to the end customer, like you and me. And in these cases, maybe there are some chapters in the standard which can be excluded because the supplier company cannot make sure the end function of the end product. They do not know about the end product. They only can do it for the products they produce. And those exclusions must be checked and must be explained to the auditor during the audit. Next question is defined who gets which documents in the company. Does the distribution system work? Well, every company, every department must have the latest issue of the drawings or of the test reports. So the distribution system for the documents must work. The auditor is going to, for example, he's going into the production, then he's going into the quality department and into the design department. In every department must be the same index number of a special drawing, of a product drawing. And if there is another index number in one of the departments, then he said, okay, he says your distribution system is not working. What would you do? What would you do to optimize it? So this is the thing. In every department, they need the same status, the same index number of drawings, of test reports and internal audit reports and so on. It has to be checked by the auditor during the audit. Then a question related to regarding the quality management handbook. He is asking persons for document check and release, authorization for working with or reading documents, storage date until the documents stay in stock. Well, this means what is the time all these documents has stocked in the company. Normally, in many companies, they have a 15-year stock. So all the documents, let's say the drawings, the FMEAs, the whole process documentation, quality charts, customer releases, measurement reports, all these things, they have to put in a stock over 15 years, in some cases more. It depends on the market, on the customer company. Some customer company require 20 years or even 25 years. But in most of the cases, 15 years. And after 15 years, they can destroy all the documents. But over 15 years, they have to put it in a stock. Change management. Every document has to be updated. There are changes by the customer. And if product changes or process changes are coming, the question is there a process described in the quality management handbook how to manage these changes? Changes are coming from the customer, but they must be managed in the company. maybe one of these things is the index of the drawings or other related documents, control plans or quality charts, whatever. So this is also a question, and the answer must, the auditor must go into the departments and check if this is okay or not. All the quality records and documentation meet the certification standard. This has to be checked at first in the internal audits done inside the company with internal auditors, and of course the external auditor of the certification association. He is asking this too, and the company has to show this to the external auditor. Are the stock conditions for the documents okay? Are they adequate for the documents and saved against loss? Well, this means, in many cases, means a fire safe stock. They need a room which is fire safe. So to make sure that the documents cannot burn. Then they need for the electronic, for digital files, they need a backup system, a daily backup system, maybe backups in the company safe or in a cloud or in the bank. Every company has a house bank. So the bank is doing all the money transfer of the company. And in many cases in the bank, they have backup files, daily, weekly, monthly backup files. Chapter 8 is about production, which means planning and control, product requirements, development, external products and services, production, service release, management of defective products and services. This means all these things we have showed you in chapter 4 to 7 are checked during the audit inside every department. This is checked. All these things are checked by the customer. Chapter 9 and 10 are about measurement, about analysis and improvement. One of the questions is, are all processes of controlling, analysis, improvement, are they planned, performed, and documented to make sure the product requirements are met? And this is a thing he must go through the company and have a look at the special product and make sure that all the customer requirements are met regarding the analysis and planning and documentation process. Then the auditor is going into the quality assurance. Quality assurance is one of the departments in every company. Every company has a quality assurance department, and they have test room or more than one test room. And the question is, do the employees in this quality assurance department know about quality methods? What are quality methods? Well, AQL, this means this is for incoming inspection. AQL means acceptable quality level. This is to make a decision if the purchased quality of the parts are okay or not okay. If the parts are okay, they take the parts, they buy the parts and take it for their production. If the parts are not okay, then they send the truck with the parts back to the supplier. And this is an AQL system, which means acceptable quality level. Statistical methods, all these methods must be known the employees in the quality department needs to know about statistical methods, about distributions, of course, normal distribution, binomial de Poisson distribution, confidence limits, everything about quality control charts, SPC, process capability, which means how to calculate CM, CMK, CP, CPK, measurement capability, of course, and then some CQM methods which are important for the company, maybe FMEA, DOE, Ishikawa, Bukayoku, Pareto, and there are a lot of other things they need to know, special customer quality contracts, and also some methods defined by customers like PPAP or APQP. APQP is Advanced Product Quality Planning. This is from in the automotive industry. It is popular method in the planning process. It's before the serious production. It's called APQP, and the PPAP is the approval process, the production part approval process before starting the production. These are special things to do if you are involved in if you are shipping in the automotive industry. Which can be answers. Answers can be there is a training plan for the employees of every department. And it depends on the department which of the quality methods are needed. Of course, most of the training in quality methods must get the employees of the quality department because they need to know all these quality methods. Maybe the auditor is asking, when do you have the last training course in FMEA or in another CQM method? And then the employee must show this to the document of the training course. The quality assurance reporting the customer evaluation reports to the departments. This means every 3 months or every 6 months. Some companies do it one time a year. The customer company is sending an evaluation report to the supplier. And they send it to the quality assurance. And the quality assurance must do a distribution. They must forward the documents, the evaluation reports to the sales department, production department, assembly department, design shop, and also, of course, to the general management. So the quality department must send the evaluation reports of the customers to all the other departments and to the general management of the company. So every company and every department must know about the supplier reports of the customer. Also, of course, if there are any complaints or AD reports to make. Quality assurance in cooperation with the controlling. Controlling is also a department in every company, controlling department. They work together with the quality assurance, and the incorporation of these two departments, they have to perform a monthly report of all the costs. And these are the costs of rework, additional production, additional tests, additional transports. All these costs are special quality costs, which has to be low, of course, because these costs are not integrated in the price of the product. Answers here can be monthly cost reports given by the controlling department, trend reports to see what has been and what has become better, what has become worse in the last year, action plans by the quality department in cooperation with controlling department in the company. The question is, are there internal audits performed periodically, system audits, process audits, product audits? And are these audits documented? Are there any action plans as a result of these audits? This is what the auditor wants to know. He wants to know when was the last internal audit performed? Is there an audit plan? Are there checklists? Are there audit reports of the internal audit? And all these documentations and the procedures must be described in the management handbook. In this context, the question is very often if the internal auditors only do their audits in departments they are not working in. So it's not possible that a designer, an auditor who works in the design shop is doing an audit in the design shop. The company must make sure that the internal auditors can only perform internal audits in other departments. In departments they are not working in. So this means a designer, if he is or she is a auditor, an internal auditor, he or she can only do the audits maybe in the project management or in the design, in the production department or in other department, in quality assurance, but not in the design shop. It's not allowed that an internal auditor is doing an internal audit in the department he is working in. This is not allowed, and this is to be checked. There must be an audit plan, and this must be checked by the auditor in the audit. Organization charts has to be hang out on blackboards, and in these organization charts, especially in the quality management handbooks, must be described what are the responsibilities of in the organization, in the company, in most of the departments. There is a hangout on the blackboards about the organization chart of the department or of the whole company. And in the management handbook, there must be a documentation about the responsibilities of the different positions or persons in the organization chart. So the audit action plans include action, who will do the action, until which point of time to finish the action. Are there system audits performed over the whole company? Well, this is related to the internal audit, and there must be an internal audit report and maybe also an external audit report and a customer audit report, and this has to be checked by the auditor during his audit. If the evaluation process of all processes performed periodically by the general management, are the indicated characteristics correct? As I told before, regarding the general management, this is a question of the auditor to every manager of a department in the company. If there are monthly comparisons of the quality performance of every department, so the actual performance versus the target, this has to be done monthly by the management of every department. Then the auditor is going through the company and he's asking some employees, do you know your process goals and your quality goals. He is doing company tours, so he's going through the company and asking some of the employees, do you know your process goals? Do you know how many parts you have to produce in one day or in one week? And how many good parts and so on? What are the quality goals? All these things must know every employee for his job. Then a question regarding the quality control charts. In most of the cases, they include also causes of deviation. So if there is a deviation, if there is a jump, if there is a movement of the mean, then it must be documented in the quality chart. Maybe this can be the start of a production, the end of a production, a change of the material batch, or a special maintenance or repair of an equipment. So if there is a systematic change, a systematic deviation in the quality control part, it is good to do a documentation of the reason for that. And especially if you have, the company has a CAQ system, it's very easy to do this. Every time you have a movement of the quality of the mean, a jump of the mean value, or you have a corrective action on the process, it is good to make a documentation of the reason for that. The auditor is also asking this in the audit. Yeah, the quality chart must include the date and the time and the signature of the tester, of the person who has done the tests, and this has to be checked by the auditor. Also, the company needs a list. They must have a list of the employee signatures that they can say, okay, this is the signature of this person, and this is the signature of that person, so that they have a list of the signatures. Is the treatment of defect products defined? Also, this has to be checked by the auditor. Yes, and then there is a question, how are special release actions managed and documented? This must be documented in the product files, also in the quality management handbook. And many of the requirements and also in the quality standards are related how to handle or how to manage complaints, and especially if there is a complaint of a customer company, and customer company says, okay, the parts are not okay, they are not meeting the requirements, we send them back, then the supplier company needs to react with an AD report. An AD report means 8 disciplines. At first, they must do the definition of the team, which has the job to solve the problem. Then the definition of the problem. In most of the, or in every case, the customer is sending defective parts to the supplier company, and then they make analysis of the problem. Then they do the definition of the problem. They do a quick action plan, analyzing the problem cause, planning of corrective action. Number 6 is performing of the corrective actions. Number 7 is action to prevent the problem in the future. So how to make sure that this problem will not occur in the future, and then honor for the team. So these are 8 disciplines, and this 8D report, the customer wants to have the 8D report in 10 work days. So this means if there is a complaint, most of the customers want 1 work day for the first telephone call of the supplier to the customer, 3 work days for the first cause analysis of the supplier company, and then 10 work days for the complete 8D report. This is required mostly in the industry. So these are a lot of questions. You have an impression, you've got an impression, I think, how much documentation it is, and it is there are a lot of things which has to do with management, with company management, to do an audit and to get a certification. So this means quality management has to do a lot to do with company management. Okay, now I will show you some sheets about the presentation workshop. We are at the end of the lecture in QM2. So in the future dates, every Thursday, we will have QM1 lecture, but no QM2 lecture. Now you have the opportunity to define your groups, and I will put these sheets into the OSCAR system today in the afternoon. I will do this, and I will show you here on these sheets. These are the topics for the presentation workshop in Quality Management QM2, and the date of the presentation. The presentation is the topic of the presentation is to show an application example, or more than 1, maybe 2 or 3 application examples of quality methods in the industry. The date of the presentation workshop would be Saturday, the 21st of May. We start at 9 o'clock in the morning, and 9 o'clock, and the group size is 2 to 5 students per group. You have to define the groups on your own. In the last semesters we did this. There was 1 group from Malaysia, 1 group from Israel, 1 group from Mexico, 1 group from France, 1 group from Russia, and from other countries. So 1 or 2 groups from a country. You are completely free. I will not define the groups. You can define your group. The thing is that the goal is that in 1 group, there are 2 to 5 students in 1 group. The presentations will be done online with Zoom. The link to the Zoom meeting will be sent. I will send you by mail on the 19th or on the 20th, so short before the presentation workshop. I will send it to you. In the meeting, the presenting group has to upload their presentation by a Zoom button, share screen, and after their presentation, click back, and the camera, of course, should be on. The order of the presentations groups will be uploaded in the OSCAR system. I have a list there. I show you after these sheets here, and I will upload this list before the presentation date. If a student has to perform his or her part of the group presentation continuous over 4 minutes. So every student has to do the presentation over 4 minutes, and Splitting of the presentation part and mixing it with other group members is not allowed. So every student has to perform his presentation over the 4 minutes in one presentation, not splitting with other members of the group. Here I have, this is a pool of topics, and every group only should choose one of these topics. Again, teams of 2 to 5 members, one topic, 5 minutes presentation time for every student, and the 4 minutes per person are at the time not mixed with other students. So everybody 4 minutes in one piece. And these are the topics. The presentation topic number 1 is about the quality certifications, means ISO 9001 or another quality standard 16949 or 13485 or another one, of course, in a small or middle-sized company showing a practical application example. So it is not, the goal is not to do a presentation about the methods, because you know the methods now, and I've given an overview of all the methods which are here in the which are important here in total quality management. So pardon. The goal is to show a practical application example of ISO 9001 certification or certification to another quality standard. This is the first option or the first topic you can choose. The second topic, you can choose quality methods for single part production. It can be in the industry or in the service field or in the handcraft field. So you're completely free to choose an example which you want to show in the presentation. Well, quality methods for single part production, not series production, more single part production. Then an application example in the industry, application example of QFD or of SPC or of Poga-Yoga or of FMEA. Not of all these methods, only one of these methods. Or also an application example of DOE. Next topic is application example of a process optimization by a Six Sigma Green Belt project or a Black Belt project. Then another topic is better quality by process key figures. Topic number 8 is a QM system for supply development and ranking. Number 9, methods to improve employees' motivation in quality. Also an industry application example. And number 10, the training system for Six Sigma, from Green Belt to Master Black Belt. So you can choose, every group choose one of these topics, only one, and then does the presentation on this topic. Again, all the basics of the methods are known so far. I've given you an overview in the last lectures, in the last 4 weeks. So you know about the methods, and they are described in the script. And I showed you some of the methods, of some examples of applications. So in the presentation, these basics of the methods should be only short. The main point in the presentation is a practical example of an application in the company. The problems, introduction, difficulties, chances, and success of the integration of one of the QM methods or of the certification. It will be used no example which was shown in the lecture, of course. And the criteria for the mark, to get the mark, everybody get a single mark here for the presentation, and the content of the presentation is one of the criteria. So if there are any mistakes in the presentation, if the application example has originality, or and also if the presentation has a plausibility. So this is one of the criteria. Another criteria is the performance of the presentation. Then the quality of the sheets and the precision in time, and it's defined 4 minutes per person. Every person 4 minutes for the presentation. The total mark in QM, I told it before at the beginning, the total mark in QM, 50% is from the presentation, is QM2, and the other 50% is from the homework. The homework is related to QM1. But I will say something in May when we have finished the lecture, the theoretical part. Then we go into the group meetings, Zoom meetings in groups about the homework. This is a thing which I will give you some information about this, and I will show you and explain the homework in May when we have finished the theoretical part, the lecture part of QM1. Well, these sheets I will upload in the OSCAR system this afternoon, and you can have a look at it. And then I will upload a list, and this list I will complete in the next weeks until we have the presentation workshop in QM2 on the 21st of May, the Saturday, start at 9 o'clock, as I said before. And this is the list of the presentation. So here's group A, and here are the names to put in. You send me an email who is in your group, and then I will put these names into this list here. So we have group A, group B, group C, group D, maybe group E, don't know. And the thing is, please send me the names of your group by email. It's my normal email address. And then this list, I will complete this list if I get an email from you who will be in your group. I don't need the topic at the moment, which topic you use, but I need the members of your group. But you can do this, you can send it to me after the Easter holiday, so you have a lot of time to think about it and to think about who will be in your group and what topic you will choose. This list will be completed until the 21st of May, and then we will do this presentation according to this list. I will put the list every time I get a mail from you with names of the groups, of the group members. I will update this list in the OSCAR system, so you will see that in the OSCAR system every time the current status of this list. Okay. Also, I will put this list into the OSCAR system. Okay. So far, regarding the presentations and the presentation workshop. Okay. So far for QM2. So we don't need any lectures anymore in QM2, only in QM1. Every Thursday at 12:15, but we don't need QM2 lecture anymore. You have a lot of time now. You have some weeks for doing the preparations for the presentation workshop, and then we will do this presentation workshop at 21st of May. Okay, if you have another topic, then these topics I've showed you in the list, then you can send me an email, and I will, if you mostly I say, okay, then do it with this topic, with another topic. But this is the pool of 10 topics, and every group should choose one of these topics. Okay, are there any questions so far? Is this clear?